Hello everyone, and welcome on this nice sunny afternoon here in Europe and a very early morning for some people on the west coast of the US as we meet for another World of Darkness new show today with Alexander Ward joining me to talk about all the things role-playing and vampire related. Very early in the morning. I admit I am very guilty of both getting Alexander so early here to the show and every day seeing Jason Carl, who is here with us in the chat, also waking up so early for us and being with us so early here. Thank you so much for being there, everyone who is joining from these distant areas. Thank you for waking up so early. And yeah, we're going to talk about a lot of things today, mainly about role-playing monsters, which with Jasper. I knew I'm going to call Alex Jasper at least once during this stream, and this is the first time. I really hope it's not going to happen again. But I'm going to definitely ask a lot of questions to Alex about that. And if you have any questions for Alex, just leave them in the chat. I will be reading it as we go and passing them to Alex. So to sum up the news that we're going to have today, we're going to also talk about the newest dev blog that we've published this week from Justin. This is the first one of the series of the dev blog that we're going to publish. The part 2 is already written and is ready to be shared with you guys pretty soon. We'll be sharing it also on our website. And we're going to also share some more news. We have a new chronicle starting. That is a community chronicle that is being run by a quite popular podcast about which I'm going to talk later. And in a week of time from now on, we have a new game releasing, and we are very excited about that. So we're going to talk about all of this today. But first of all, I'm going to connect to Alex and see if he's waiting there for us. Let's see. Hello, Alex. Can you hear me? Alex is, I think, missing in action. There we go. There he goes. Hello, Alex. No one saw what happened. Don't worry. No one saw you. There we
Sorry.
go. Don't worry. I'm going to reveal a little secret. Just as I joined the call, Alex was joining the interview with a mug of blood in his hand. That's exactly what happened.
A second.
I know. Hello.
Hello.
Nice to see you in there. And for those of us in our audience who do not know about you yet, for some reason, somehow, I don't know how, but who don't know about you, could you give us a very quick introduction?
Sure. My name is Alexander Ward. I am an actor and a lover of tabletop RPG games, especially Vampire the Masquerade. I also play Jasper on LA by Night.
Definitely. And yeah, I guess we are going to start from the very beginning. We're going to get to Jasper and all of that jazz later. But can you tell us, how did your story with role-playing start in general?
Yeah. I found out about tabletop RPGs and things of the like actually via Vampire. I was probably first or second year of high school, and some friends of mine, we had one house that we all hung out at all the time. It was someone who lived near the high school. We hung out at their place, and one of them had the Vampire Dark Ages book.
Ooh.
And asked if we wanted to play a game. And I had never played a tabletop RPG before. I didn't really know what it entailed, and I ended up I played, at the time, they were not named this, but I played a Banu Hakim at the time.
Ooh,
and
okay.
For maybe a session. Like it wasn't a lot, but I had fun, and I kind of wanted to do it again. And then we started a 3rd edition Vampire the Masquerade game that we played for about 2 years, maybe. Where I
Nice.
also played in Nosferatu.
I see. So wait, you started with Dark Ages and Banu
Yes.
Hakim and then went to Modern Time with the second campaign, or also Dark
Yes.
Ages? Okay.
I know, modern with the second.
That's awesome. So yeah, great clan choice, by the way. So good taste from the very beginning. But that's interesting. So you had the vampiric version of a typical D&D basement, where you would hang out.
Pretty much. I didn't play D&D until I was an adult.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had the 3.5 books and things like that, but I didn't find anybody who wanted to play. Everybody I knew who played tabletop RPG only played World of Darkness games.
That's great. I mean, this is a very very interesting start, and as this led you in the future to playing Jasper in LA by Night. But before we get to that, you also have a background as an actor, of course. You are
Yes.
working as an actor professionally. What
Yes.
started first, your story with role playing, or you're willing to be an actor?
Probably, hmm, probably my being an actor. I wasn't good at it for a long time. Um,
Really? How?
I I did some community theater when I was a kid because my mom acted in the community theater and directed, so I would get roped into doing plays and things. But honestly, the reason I started acting was because I loved reading fantasy and science fiction books and all of these things, and I was like, well, I'm and playing, RPGs and things. And I played video game RPGs. I just never played a tabletop RPG. And I wanted to live in those worlds. I wanted to be those characters, and I realized the only way I was going to get to do that is if I was an actor. Otherwise, I had to live in the real world,
Of course.
which
The
and
worst.
so I started wanting to be an actor and things like that, and then I found tabletop RPGs, which I loved. And it wasn't actually until much later in life that my actual willingness to dive into characters in tabletop RPGs started. It was much more surface level stuff and more just hanging around with friends and making each other laugh, which is perfectly fine. But my, need to dive into characters in an RPG didn't start till later.
I see, but how did you like right now, especially from your perspective now as a very experienced role player and experienced actor? How do you think your being an actor influenced role playing, or vice versa, role playing? How it influenced your being an actor? Is it complementary? Is it something that goes in pair?
I'd say it was absolutely complementary. It's the same when you boil it down. It's the same thing.
Hmm.
Um, it's just being a character and staying in character and living as that character. And that's exactly what you do on set or in the theater. There's a lot more complications and little side things you have to keep track of when you're on a set, but it's basically the same thing. You play a character's life and you live and breathe that character. And so it really just kind of one informs the other and vice versa. So that it was coming from an acting background really makes role playing at a table easy.
I see. I mean, I was always wondering how does, because having no experience in actual, playing a character as in the movie or theater, how does it
Mm.
compare to sitting at the table and being kind of immobilized as you have to role play in place, and also sometimes get out of a character where you have to roll the dice? Is it actually sometimes hard to break this character, or how does
It
it
can
play?
be.
Mm-hmm.
It can be big. It can it can be big. I don't mind. I'm just waking up.
That's
Um,
fine.
it, it it can be difficult. In that you can get stuck in those things sometimes, but there's especially when sitting around a table and especially with friends.
Yes.
At least in my experience, there's a comfortability and a casualness that allows you to just kind of not really worry if your performance was A plus. It's just you're doing it for fun, that you don't have to make anybody happy but yourself. And so it doesn't really matter how good your performance is as long as you enjoy doing it.
Definitely. Of course, there's also one more aspect coming into play there, and as you play without a script, and it's not being set of what you're going to do in the future, there's unpredictability in what
Yeah.
you're going to do. So you must trust other people at the table. How do you feel that plays out with your fellow actors in the role-playing campaign?
Well, yeah, trusted at an RPG table is incredibly important, to trust that, no one's gonna do things, that you previously talked about not doing,
Hmm.
anything, but also just trusting to allow them to show their story and to go along with them. And you don't always necessarily get it's different. That's a big difference from on a set or in theater, is that where those cat, you cannot lay on my keyboard, you're gonna shut off the meeting.
Oh my god, can you
Um,
show Cat?
yes, I can. Come here.
Oh, yes.
Come here. Uh,
This is a very obligatory part of
wow.
the stream, showing cats.
This
Ah,
is Cassandra.
adorable.
Can you look at the camera, not me?
I love her.
She is a monster.
She's a gorgeous
She's
devil.
about a year and a half old, so she's very mischievous. Anyway, what was I saying? Yes, there's a big difference between being on set and being in a table with friends. Is that you know where the story's going. You know what scenes you're doing today. You know which things you have to do, and so it takes some of I guess the stress away
Hmm.
at that point when you're on set. But I like that not knowing what's happening, and Jason can attest to this that I very much like not knowing what's going to happen.
I can only imagine how much, like excitement there was at the table when Jason was throwing those various obstacles at you. Because we are being stressed when we watch you guys play, and
Yeah,
when we
no,
see
and I'm stressed when I'm playing.
it's amazing. It's the kind of a stress that is very much enjoyable. But to go back a little bit more to the actor part of your career, you are specializing in something very interesting, which is playing monsters. When did that start, and why did you suddenly did you just wake up with a thought, hey, I really want to play monsters? Maybe you had
No,
some inspirations for that?
yeah, I had always I started when I was in 8th grade, but I don't know exactly how that translates to European school systems. I don't remember what age I was, but I was right before high school, the year before I went into high school, and I joined the local haunted house in my hometown. That was a volunteer haunted house it was on the street I lived on. There was an empty lot at the end, and they made a haunted house there every year for Halloween.
Hmm.
And so I was like, this is great. I want to, and so I volunteered to scare people at the haunted house
That's so cool.
as a child. And so I did that, and I joined that group, and I did that for many years. And I did it pretty much up until I moved to LA from my hometown, so that was about maybe 6 to 8 years. I loved it. I loved doing that, and I went, well, no one does that for a living. You can't make money doing that. You can't have a job, working. And there are people who work at haunted houses and are fine. But I didn't know a way to do it as a child. And then I was continuing also working on being an actor and doing things like that. And I was like, well, okay. And I went to college in my Northern California town, and I was still terrible at acting. And I was like, well, I need more training. So I moved down to LA, and I went to a school down here called the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. And I auditioned and I got in, and through there, I met a man named Scott Ramp, who
Hmm.
is a makeup artist. And he was like, hey, there's this convention in LA called Monster Palooza. You should join. You should come and join me and come visit it. I think you'll like it. And I did. And I met makeup artists there. And they were like, you have the perfect body type to play monsters. And I was like, really? And they're like, yeah. And
It's
I
a
didn't even
very
know that was a
interesting
job.
thing to hear. You have a very good body type to play monster.
Well, because I'm tall and skinny. For those of you who've ever seen me in person, I'm 6'4" and I'm about 155 pounds. So
So that's
I'm
a
tall and
perfect
skinny.
monster, apparently.
Yeah, and they like that so they can build off of you.
Hmm.
So that they can put a suit on me, and I look to be a normal size as opposed to being huge. So that's kind of how I fell into it. Is that I was being an actor, and then I also love monsters and horror and things like that, and they just kind of melded together. And then I started modeling makeups for makeup artists at trade shows, and being there and playing their characters and putting life to them.
Hmm.
And then those makeup artists went to go back to their regular job, went to work on set, and they would need a monster, and they'd call me, and that's how that started.
And that's how you ended up in many different shows in which you're playing and movies. Can you give us a few examples? Just today I rewatched a certain mattress scene that always gives me chills. I'm super scared of it.
I show up on shows like American Horror Story, and I was on the show Sleepy Hollow for a long time. Things like Teen Wolf and Westworld, and I've been in movies such as my brain, Annabelle Comes Home, and there's a movie out right now called Sun. There's also the Zack Snyder Army of the Dead that just got announced that's coming out. The trailer just dropped. I'm in that.
Ooh.
Um, I'm also in the movie Puka with Felicia Day and some other people, or Puka 2, I should say. And yeah, it's I like what I do very much. It's a lot of fun. I have other things that I am in that I can't talk about because they haven't been announced yet.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a bunch of other things on my IMDb that I'm. Oh yeah, and there's well, thank you, Ruin. I can see you in chat. There is a short film called Grummy that I did, which is very important to me. It's in the festival circuit right now, and it's nowhere to be seen yet. But once it is, I'll share it with people. But yeah, I like what I do very much.
Yeah, and you're doing an excellent job of that. I really recommend you guys to check out Alexander's IMDb, right? IMDb, that's the site.
IMDb, yeah.
Yes, where you can see all of the movies and series listed, and also check out some scenes on YouTube because there's some really good content to watch there. And this kind of leads me to LA by Night and to you playing Jasper, which is an interesting mix of the two. I would say that as we watch you playing Jasper, it seems to me extremely impossible to imagine that you didn't have these skills beforehand. As you say, you were a bad actor, because
Right.
you're acting in the very short moments that we post on TikTok. That's like 30 seconds videos. Causes some people, I mean, there's majority of people that absolutely love you and just swoon over you, but there are a lot of people who think that you're a real vampire, and they bring crucifixes and crosses to our chat and to our comments and say that they need to repel the demon out of you. How does that make you feel? Is that a compliment for an actor skills?
Yeah, I love it. I'm very happy with it. I love that people love the character so much, but I also love the extreme reactions I get, whether they're pleasant or not. Like, I will read people negative commenting Jasper all day, and I love it. I'm just like, yeah, give me your extreme reactions. Like, I love it.
So yeah, how was playing Jasper for you? Because as much as he sometimes really, like, we posted the clip today when you are basically doing the growl and you are being a very creepy blood leech in that one. You are sometimes very much a monster, but then there's very much of a human side to Jasper. Was that a struggle to try to marry these two sides, or was it natural for Jasper's development?
Well, to me, at least, Vampire to me has always been about the struggle of the person having essentially a monster inside of them, and it's the personal horror part of the Vampire the Masquerade tabletop game. It's always been an important part to me, so I wanted to make a character that really dealt with that. A lot of Jasper kind of evolved naturally from the first episode. I didn't, and again, Jason will attest to this, I didn't even know what Jasper sounded like until we started.
Oh.
I just didn't know. I was not sure how he was going to come out. And then that first episode started and his voice came out. I was like, oh, okay, that's who he is there. And then I went from there, and it kind of built over those first couple episodes. And actually, funny, the reason, if you watch season 1, I'm only in half of the episodes of season 1 because I was filming a movie at the same time. Filming Annabelle Comes Home at the same time, and they kept scheduling me on Friday nights.
Oh,
and I was like, come on, I have a thing I have to do. But luckily we had many wonderful guests to come in and fill my place. But the monster part of Jasper and marrying those two things, I think, is something I really enjoy. That part of playing Jasper and being in the show in general. I like characters that have, that exist on technicalities and that have beliefs that they don't necessarily prescribe to, and then also are dealing with this thing inside of them that wants them to do things, and they don't want to do them. They want to be better, but they are not better. They're in fact worse than they want to be. And I love that. That's one of my favorite things about the game.
Yeah, and there's actually one other aspect of Jasper, or multiple aspects that's kind of come in one, that I find super interesting. He has it rough throughout the whole chronicle. There's a lot of things that happen to him. I feel bad for him, but then also he's not a perfect character. He's not the character that you always want to wish well. Because sometimes, oh my god, he's such a piece of... like really, like there's a monster part of him that really shines sometimes. So this is one of the role-playing aspects that I guess some people need to learn, because I think we all had this time in our lives when we just wanted to play characters that are perfect and everything goes well for them. How do you feel when you play Jasper and when you constantly run into those obstacles or blockades or bad rolls and things are just falling apart? Is that satisfying for you as a player?
Yeah, I love when things go wrong. I'm constantly looking at Jason and just being like, I dare you to kill me. Do it. Like, I'm not, because I want it. I love when terrible stuff happens. I love when everything goes wrong, because what's interesting in a story is when things go wrong. Well, I don't want to read a story where everything goes right all the time, where there's a thing, we set out to do it, we accomplish it, story over. There's no conflict, there's no story. And like what makes characters interesting and what makes story interesting is failure and personal failure. And so when something like that happens, I lean into it. I want Jasper to feel these terrible things. I want things to be hard for him, because it makes it more interesting. And I also, as a performer, I like restrictions. I like things I can't do. I like putting obstacles in front of myself to make me do things differently than I would normally do them.
Definitely. And I am very much interested about the relationships that Jasper developed throughout the Chronicle with other characters, and how much there's a difference, of course, between season 1 Jasper and season 4 Jasper. What were these differences and the growth of the character and the growth of the relationships planned beforehand, or most of that happened naturally in game?
A little bit of planning before we kind of, well, I shouldn't, it wasn't really, we knew who, like the original, when it was just the original 4 of us, we knew who each other's characters were, and we had a kind of an idea of what our past experiences together were. But as far as our relationships to each other, we had a base idea, like an on paper idea, but we didn't have the feeling yet. And once we got into the story, then we kind of felt out where our relationships sat. As far as the relationships I've developed with other people, other NPCs and things throughout the game, is that most of those just happened as we played. Take Eva, for example. Jasper's relationship with Eva was completely not within my control.
Oh my god, really?
I had no intention of having Jasper have a romantic situation in his life.
There
I was
was
like,
no intention of Java.
That's not where this is going. And then my initial Jason introduced Eva in, I think, the first episode, and Jasper so desperately wanted to learn magic, and so he protects her at one point. I think it was first or second episode. He stands in front of her to protect her from the ghouls that attack them at the Griffith Observatory.
Park. Yeah.
And his whole reason for doing that was to keep her alive, to then learn things from her. That was his entire motivation. And then Josephine comes in and talks to Jason, and they decide that this is going to be a thing.
That's so interesting. I mean, it evolved.
And then she approached me with it in character like that, and I was like, "Oh, okay, we're doing this. All right."
That's amazing. No, the chemistry is crazy, and I always thought, whenever you watch a show that is just so well done as Late by Night, you always wonder how much of that is improvised, how much of that is prepared, but then you realize that way more is just complete improvisation, and you guys just doing your work wonderfully, and it's crazy.
Yeah, it's Josephine's excellent, and I didn't know Josephine before we started this. I had met her once at a BlizzCon. We ended up at the same dinner and spoke for maybe 20 minutes, and that was the extent of our knowledge of each other. And then she showed up to play Eva.
And now you're friends, right? You're doing a lot of things together.
Yeah, we do stuff together all the time. She's great, and yeah, no, I've made some friends during the show that I'm very happy to have made.
Yeah,
Um,
and speaking of Josephine, you are also very soon, I think, going to roleplay together, right? Yet
yes,
again.
yeah. Tomorrow we will be starting our third and final season of a kind of a just a fun RPG we stream called Eclipse, which is based on the Mothership system, and this will be our third and final season. I think 6 episodes, just every Friday night for fun, and we raise my hey Josephine's here.
Hey!
Uh, we raise money for charity and whatnot while we play, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's on Josephine's channel, which is twitch.tv/jcvim.
That's great. And as much as I would love to see you role-playing Eclipse as well, there was a very cool question from the chat. And the question
Yeah.
is, which clan from Vampire the Masquerade would you really like to play next? If you could just imagine any kind of character you could.
I mean, I literally only have one answer for that, and it's Tzimisce.
Oh my god, that would be so cool.
They've been my favorite clan ever since I've read Vampire. I've played on Nosferatu. I've never, other than a wonderful one shot that I played with Shane Easton storytelling. I've never. That was the only time I've ever been able to play as Tzimisce in my entire time playing Vampire the Masquerade, and they are my favorite.
You should totally play Tzimisce in the full chronicle and also get the makeup artist for that, or try to make yourself some really crazy cosplay.
Okay, this backfired on me last time. So when we initially started LA by Night, our producers wanted me to get into makeup for every episode for Jasper, and I said no. I can. We'll just do a little bit of makeup, and then I'll portray his monstrosity with my performance and the voice and everything like that. I don't want to get into makeup every time we do this show. And there were other reasons, like if I'm coming off of set and I have stuff all over, it was going to be too complicated. And then the whole thing where Jasper's hot turned out, and I was like, that completely backfired on me. He's not supposed to be hot. He's supposed to be awful looking, and then that just took off. So,
I mean, no, but there are absolutely moments when you are role-playing Nosferatu with your face just so wonderfully. Some moments that we posted on TikTok, people were just saying that they don't know whether they feel this is hot or extremely scary, and seeing you in the alley somewhere would be. I mean, I think this is a great way to roleplay Nosferatu, because Nosferatu ultimately they are repulsive, but they do not exactly have to look like Count Orlok every time.
No.
So yeah.
No, they don't. And like especially with the V5 book and the way they're portrayed, and when those like little style sheets that are in there, which I love very much, they look very different than previous editions of Nosferatu. They aren't as at least low blood potency Nosferatu are more, just like unfortunate human beings than monsters. But yeah, I would love to play as Tzimisce. I have some ideas for future things whenever that may happen. I love them. I also am very fond of the Hakata. I love them. I was a big Giovanni fan as well, and now they're subsumed into the Hakata, so I like that very much. So that was also an option of something I'd want to play. And actually, Jasper was originally supposed to be a Tremere.
What? I haven't heard about that.
That was my initial idea when we first came to the character creation meeting that we had before any of LA by Night started. I had never played a Tremere before, and I never really cared about Tremere in the other editions. And V5 made me think Tremere were interesting. With the break of the Ivory Tower and everything, I was really interested in them. And so I was like, oh, I'll play a Tremere. That'll be really fun. That'll be against type for me because I usually play monsters. Let's play something that's a little more, And
I mean, they're also monsters. I just face
they are monsters inside, but like I was that was where my brain was going at the time. And when I got to the character creation meeting, actually, weirdly enough, the character creation meeting was in an afternoon, and I was at work beforehand. I was on set nearby. And I was finishing up set, and so I was a little late to the meeting. And oddly enough, I was at work as a Nosferatu for SpongeBob.
Oh,
Then going to the character creation meeting for LA by Night.
that was a destiny, basically. So when you came in, you were in the
weird.
mood.
I only recently made that connect. I was like, wait, I was doing Nosferatu and a SpongeBob episode and then went to make Jasper. Um, so, but I came in initially thinking I was going to make uh, a Tremere, and then initially when we came in, Cynthia had decided to make a Tremere,
Mm-hmm.
and she had already been like, "Oh, I have this whole plan." I was like, "Oh, okay, well then I can change." And then Nosferatu was my backup because I always loved Nosferatu. So that's how that worked. She had initially decided to be a Tremere, which ended up changing later for Nellie.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what initially changed me to being a Nosferatu from a Tremere, was someone else had already wanted to play one. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I love Nosferatu. And then that's how, so I just kind of adapted things and changed the backstory to become Jasper.
That's super interesting, and it's just, I wish there was a camera in that room when you were making characters together, so we could see how this unfolded. But we love the stories, and yeah, I want to ask about something a little bit different, because we're talking to us about you as a role player, as a player, but you've been also storytelling, especially recently. You had a stream, a charity stream, that you storytold. Was that your first attempt at storytelling V5, or did you have a prior experience?
That was my first storytelling of V5. That I story told a little bit. I'd never actually that is my first V5, but also my first time storytelling vampire at all.
Wow.
I've story told other things. I've had D&D games that have gone for years. I'm used to at least DMing, but my storytelling was pretty much exclusively reserved for like little one shots here and there where I would do some things. I ran a couple of games of Changeling the Lost a long time ago, and and much to Jason's chagrin, my friends and I played a lot of Fomori
Mm-hmm.
a long time ago. So I've done a little bit of that. Um, but that was my first time storytelling V5 or vampire in general. The only other real time and that was the second time I had story told on stream. The first time was during a fundraising thing run by Josephine,
Mm-hmm.
and I just did a quick, like, using the base World of Darkness system. I had all my players be mortals based on themselves, and I put them through a scenario as themselves.
And yeah, I've watched the stream that you've done recently, and I was actually very impressed. This was your very first attempt at storytelling, but it was already super solid. How did you prepare for that? And how would you, do you have any advice for people who want to start storytelling but maybe are afraid to do that?
What I did to make it comfortable for me, at least, one, play with people that I already knew and was comfortable with,
Mm-hmm.
and that I like. And two, pick a scenario. Don't be scared of making it too simple. You can have a simple premise and fill it in with a bunch of details, and it sounds interesting and nice, but take a simple premise for your first time. Don't make it too complicated, because you'll just spend the entire time worrying about whether you've set everything up correctly.
Mm-hmm.
I chose a place that I know and I've been to in person. I've been inside the hotel that I placed the one shot in. I know what it looks like. So, and one of my other players had also been there before. I used to be there all the time. I know what it looks like. So I was comfortable explaining what the interior looked like and things like that. So yeah, I felt comfortable with the location. And then I just made a simple story, and I set out to kind of describe what a possible look into what a kindred, especially a Tremere's mind, could look like if it was shown in like surrealist imagery,
Mm,
and which is what I
nice.
wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that was why each one of the hotel rooms in the one shot was a different thing, and
Mm-hmm.
relating to the way a kindred's mind works. And that's all I really wanted to do. And it was a bit more railroady than I normally like to run my games, but I enjoyed it. I think the players had fun. So
I very often ask this question because I think it's something that a lot of storytellers at the beginning are worrying about. But how did you manage the time that you were sitting at the table and making sure that the story is going to have its beginning and end in a reasonable constraints?
well, I kind of planned things out as far as like what I wanted to do in the first half and what I wanted to do in the second half. But that's where some of my more railroady moments came in, were times where I like had to get them somewhere, because I was like, you're like, they were sitting in the staircase arguing for like like, I don't know, 10 minutes or whatever it was, and I was just like, okay, look, you guys need to go up the stairs.
And that's fine, you know. Sometimes it's okay
Yeah,
to suggest that.
so Meek and I made a joke out of it, and it was fine. It was, but anytime I realized I was getting close to the end, or I was like, oh, we haven't done something, we need to do something. Just, you wrote the story, fucking change it.
Yeah.
Like, it's improvise. Just go, okay, well, we don't have a lot more time, so I'll get rid of that and we'll just go here. And like, no, they're never gonna know.
Mm-hmm.
How would they know? And they're not gonna know. So just change your story.
See, now everyone knows that you had the elaborate plan in your head and you had to change it.
Yeah. I didn't actually change it too much, honestly. I kept it where I was. I think it is very possible I just forgot to put things in too while I was working on everything else. I'm sure I had other stuff written that I just didn't put in the game because I forgot.
It's not like they are in the chat right now and are watching you and hear what you say, so it's fine. It's okay. So, I need to ask you about something. We're already over time, by the way. I hope it's fine, because I'm having the best time.
I'll talk all day.
That's great. I have the best time ever. But I really want to ask you about something that I'm sure other people are also curious about. But the wonderful things behind you. I know that you have a pretty impressive dice collection, don't you?
Yeah. So this is where I when the world is working normally, I DM here. There's a table that goes that way in the room, so all players sit over there, and this is just generally where I storytell or DM or whatever. But I do have dice.
Mm-hmm.
For vampire, I have my lovely Dogmite box from season 1 of LA by Night, which has my normal regular vampire dice in it.
Oh, nice.
And then I have my lovely Elderwood Academy dice box.
That's something I really need. Whenever I see it, it's so beautiful.
My lovely Nosferatu and Zemitzi level up dice.
Oh, can you show one up close? That's Zemitzi one? I haven't seen them yet.
There we go. Let's see if I can...
Ah, it's so beautiful.
My camera's not going to autofocus on it.
That's fine, but we see the logo. So they are heavy, right? They are much heavier than the regular ones.
No.
No.
They're just the aluminum, like regular metal dice.
Mm.
And the nice... Got my Nosferatu blood dice here.
Oh, it's beautiful.
They're really lovely. The metal level up dice are excellent. They're really beautiful. So then I have those, and then I have a separate set for all my D&D dice.
Oh, and there's like a different. I remember that you were showing them on your stream back in the days, but there are different textures, right? You have bone dice, you have metal dice.
Yeah, I do. I have, in this case, I have metal dice, I have bone dice, I have this one, which is made of alligator jawbone.
Whoa!
These are howlite stone dice. I have obsidian, I have crystal, I have wooden ones. I have all sorts of metal ones.
Okay, which one gave you the most luck? Because that's important.
I mean, it's got to be my bone die. I like my bone die.
The alligator bone die or the regular bone die?
The alligator bone die. I like that one.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I keep on my minds keep on just racing right now. What kind of a bone can the die be made from? Are there human bone dice?
There were the artisan dice had a set of human bone that was from like a medical skeleton. Mm-hmm. They sold them at one point. They were very expensive. Mm-hmm. And I wanted them very badly, but I could not justify spending multiple hundreds of dollars on a set of dice.
One day.
It was but they were lovely, and I was like, oh, I really want that dice set. It was a full like polyhedral 7 dice set, and I was just like, these are beautiful and I want them. But no. I'm more fiscally responsible than that. But yeah, it was I like interesting dice. I like dice that match the character I'm playing. I like I as a storyteller or as a DM, a little ritual I do before if I'm starting a campaign with people and I'm planning for it to go a long time, I will always buy my players a set of dice for the game we're playing.
That's
as
so
a gift to
nice.
them, because I am superstitious in the fact that dice that you are given roll better than dice that you buy.
Oh, that's so sweet of you. I mean, that's amazing. And also, just to let you know, of course, I understand that you want to be reasonable with your spendings, but once you're going to play it Simitsi, I think human bond dice are going to be very much.
Yeah, I need human bone vampire dice. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you so much for showing your collection to us, Alex. Now, please tell us, where can we find you online, and what are you doing online in general?
Oh, yeah, you can find me on Twitter at AlexWard777 and on Instagram at, I think, Alexander Ward777. I also have a Twitch channel where I stream horror content, and we are midway through a playthrough of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines right now.
Yes.
And I'm on Twitch at AlexWard777. Other than that, you can find me on my IMDb and look up what things I've been in or what I'm doing. As far as things that have come out right now, there was a movie called Sun came out, which is a horror movie that I did. That is out. And then the trailer for, as I said, Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead just dropped, which I'm in a little bit. I played a little part in it.
Mm-hmm.
So don't go in thinking you're going to see me the whole fucking time. But there's also, I have some other things coming out that I'll announce when I can. Things I've been working on filming that just haven't come out yet. But yeah, that's where you can find me, I guess. I do have a TikTok now because of everything that happened.
Because
which is just my name.
We kind of forced you with the shenanigans that we've made on TikTok.
Now I just sit there voyeuristically watching things. I don't actually really post anything.
I mean, it must be a little bit intimidating, because I remember it was for me when I first woke up and saw 1 million new views under your video.
Yeah. I'm very happy that everybody liked it. Hey, and if more people want to come and watch Ally by Night because of it, then I am happy with it. I don't get it, but it made me laugh.
I mean, I think everyone here, except for you, gets it. So you just enjoy the show, because it's going to, I hope, only unfold more when season 5 is going to drop, and I cannot wait to see you in season 5 of LA by Night once it happens eventually. And I am very happy that you joined me today, and thank you so much for sharing your insights about role-playing and being an actor. And I can't wait to see you in movies, series, and role-playing shenanigans.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. This was great. It was nice I think this is the first time we've actually spoken in person.
I know, right? It's crazy. We've been writing for a while, but never actually speaking, which is super nice.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. This was fun.
Thank you. And I cannot wait personally to roleplay with you one day. I really hope it's
going to happen.
I would love that. Thank you so much. And catch you later. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
So guys, that was Alex. Oh my god. We went, I think this was the longest interview I've ever done. 45 minutes. We usually keep to 30, but Alex is just such a fun person to talk to, and I really enjoyed all of the insights he shared with us. I hope you did too. We never actually talked to each other like on speech. I did wrote to Alex a few times, but we never actually had a conversation, so it was so nice. Yes, Justin Aquila in the chat, who we are going to talk about in a second. I do like Salubre, and you're not going to put this against me, okay? Alright, and speaking of which, Justin Aquila, who is here with us in the chat, he's our creative lead for World of Darkness, and he is a busy bee, working on a lot of things CTRPG related. As you probably know, we are working on Vampire the Masquerade and other IPs as well, and we are also working on various different things that come around the V5 in general, and one of these things is, of course, the dev blogs, which we are sharing from time to time. And the second one that we've shared just recently, I mean, you could count it as the third one if the companion piece that we shared with that was kind of the first one. But from the actual things called dev blogs, this is the second we've shared. And this is available right now on our website, worldofdarkness.com. You can read about the variety of stories which can be written about which can be, of course, role-played and made into chronicles based on V5, but also written about, because why not? You can also try your your narrative talent this way. And when it comes to this book in particular, I think it's both very useful for newcomers to Vampire the Masquerade who are willing to start their own chronicle and try to see what different themes they can grab from. But also, we kind of made it in partially a response to some comments we've seen here and there saying that people feel like V5 is made specifically to make one type of a story, like Anarch versus Camarilla, with Anarch being the better guys and Camarilla being the worst guys. This is something that we feel is represented in the books, that there's a lot more stories than that, but we wanted to put more emphasis on that, and also on the fact on how storytelling is a group effort more than a solo effort, and how we love how our storytellers that we see in the family, in the community, are working with their players to prepare their own stories. It's really, really great, and thank you so much, Justin, for writing this one. This is the part 1 of the blog. The second one is going to be about conflicts and how conflicts drive the chronicles and how they can drive your chronicle and your vampire story. We do drop little hints here and there about the upcoming Sabbath book that we've been working on very hard for a while now. This is something that we cannot wait to share with you, and you may actually see some glimpses into what is going to be in the Sabbath book and what kind of approach we have towards it when we are developing the TTRPGs. And these dev blogs are sharing it pretty nicely. In the previous dev blog, when we were writing about clans and how we define them, there was also a mention of paths in the Sabbath, and I feel like there's a lot of common themes in the approach design that we have. So whenever you read those blogs, you might expect that this is the approach we're going to also take in whatever we're going to make in the future. So yeah, Justin, thank you so much for writing this one. People are saying in the chat that the blog post was great. Thank you so much. I know that people are also waiting for more information and more details on the upcoming TTRPG books and the things that we are crafting and creating. That's going to come in time. And as for now, I hope that you enjoyed those little tidbits that we are adding here and there in the wait for the Sabbath and more books to come afterwards. Now, the next news is about the Glass Cannon Network, which is a pretty popular podcast that is going to get into V5. Now, that's interesting because they have this show that really boomed in the popularity during the pandemic called New Game Who Dis. And in this particular show, they are tackling various new, or relatively new, or new for them, role-playing series and role-playing systems that they are playing with. And now they are going to tackle V5, and they're going to start their own V5 chronicle with Jared Logan as a storyteller. You may know him as the storyteller for Pittsburgh by Night from Stream of Blood. He's running this for a while. He was also part of the family holiday event we did in December. A great storyteller, and he always has an awesome cast of players. And this time there's also going to be a very good cast with Nora Ibrahim, Sydney Emanuel, Troy Lavely, and Skid Meyer, who are going to be all a part of this particular show. And yeah, we are very much eager to check out the new vampire story. As you probably see in the last episodes, whenever I do these, there are more V5 Chronicles coming on that I would love to mention. Last week mentioned some community chronicles which are all somehow connected to the LGBTQ&A community. And this time we'd love to share something new, and we are going to continue on that in the future episodes as well. And of course, our efforts and a lot of our work is coming together to bring you a new game coming next week. There's just 7 days until Wraith the Oblivion Afterlife is going to release. I am extremely excited about that because it's the very first Wraith the Oblivion game to release in general, and this is a setting which is a part of the World of Darkness. It exists in the same world as Vampire the Masquerade, Werewolf the Apocalypse, but it is about ghosts, or wraiths as they're called in this particular setting, and about being one of them. It's not so that you are a ghost hunter or someone who is a medium. No, you are a ghost. You died, and you're one of them. And Wraith the Oblivion Afterlife is not only giving you that experience, but also bringing it into VR, which makes it super scary. And being a ghost is not in any point less scary than fighting with ghosts or seeing ghosts. It's the same scary experience. There are tons of gameplay tidbits online already. A lot of people played the demo and shared their first opinions. You can check out the journalists that are writing a lot of articles about the reviews for the very early first chapter of this game. And the game is going to come next week to Oculus and then to Steam VR on May 25th, and later in 2021 it's going to be also on PlayStation VR. So we have the releases coming, and I am extremely excited. I did play this game. There is a first episode on my channel. I am very much waiting for the time to record the rest of them, but it's been a really, really big pleasure. Big plus of that is that it also has a lot of accessibility measures. The company behind this game, Fast Travel Games, they are known for basically really clearing the path in the VR for people who haven't been playing a lot of VR games before, and this is their first experience. So as much as Wraith is a very realistic game, it's always a trouble in VR for your brain to really understand what's going on when you are in the realistic environment in which you personally don't move and you move with the sticks. There's a lot of measures to make sure that it helps with the motion sickness, with any issues, any VR sickness that you might have from it. So I was very glad to see that, because I suffer from severe VR sickness usually, and I was able to play this game with all the accessibility measures that were added to it. So that's great. And if you do not own any VR sets personally, there is a chance to get one, and that one is Wraith the Oblivion branded. So you can get yourself a very nice Oculus Quest 2 with Wraith the Oblivion branding by going to wraithafterlife.com and participating in their online event, which is going on right now. They are basically introducing people to their story by a virtual experience. It's pretty short, doesn't take a long time to finish, and you may have a chance to both win the Oculus and also have your name in the game. So I recommend to take part of that. They are trying to get to 10,000 remnants caught, and they are slowly getting there. So if you want to help the developers get to that goal, please go to wraithafterlife.com and participate in their nice little thing. People are asking whether the Wraith V5 is going to be released in visible future. There are no plans as for now, so nothing announced, no dates for the future Wraith TTRPG products. As for now, I personally really recommend to check out Wraith the Oblivion 20th Anniversary Edition. I think it's super cool. It's a very good start to get yourself accustomed to the Wraith world, although you don't have to read that in order to play Wraith the Oblivion Afterlife, which is very much a game that is going to introduce you to the concepts of Wraith in general. But if you want to get deeper after playing Wraith the Oblivion Afterlife, then I recommend checking the 20th Anniversary Edition, which is really, really good. I really enjoy it. Any idea of what the story is in Wraith the Oblivion? In this particular game, in Afterlife, the story is that you are a dead photographer. You have just I didn't really know in what kind of circumstances, but you are visiting a Barclay mansion in which there was some weird stuff happening. You were a part of that whole shenanigans. And as you explore the mansion, you figure out what exactly happened. You know, there was a seance, there was some medium was present in there, there was some untypical things going on, and as you enter the mansion, as you explore it, there are remnants, which are the very basic ghost types that just share a singular emotion. They repeat it over and over again, and they give you glimpses of the story. And as you venture into the mansion, your shadow is leading you deeper and deeper into it to uncover the truth and possibly get horribly lost inside. So there's a lot of scares, but there are no jump scares really. Most of them are very much of a psychological horror. So if you like games like Alien Isolation, that was one of the biggest inspirations behind the project. So as a horror fan, I'm very happy about that. And I think it's very well shown in the game. So yeah, and Wraith the Oblivion in general is, of course, a system about being a Wraith after you die and exploring the world behind the shroud, behind in the Shadowlands, which is kind of a coexistence field with the real world, but we don't see that as humans. Humans are not allowed to see whatever is behind that shroud, and we are not we do not often, even if we see ghosts in this system in particular, even if we see them, we later on rationalize it or we forget about it, and it's all defined by our fear of death. We are very much aware of our mortality, but seeing a wraith and talking to a wraith would very much underline that yes, we are mortals and we're going to die one day, we're going to become one of them. And it's scary enough that subconsciously we are just pushing that thought away, and that's why wraiths usually exist in their own plane and very rarely coexist or talk or embody in the close to human form. And it's a very interesting system. There's a lot of sadness to it. There's a lot of grief and emotions, and I feel like this game is portraying a lot of that and trying to show you a lot of aspects of it. All right, so that's it for today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. I love the interview with Alex, and I can't wait for more LA by Night and for more role playing with them. And yeah, we have a new game coming next week, so crossing fingers for that to go well, and for more things to come later this year. And I will see you, as usual, next week. Don't get lost in the night, and see you later.